4 straight days of severe weather start today, and a flooding crisis is building across the heartland. It is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. The first severe weather of the spring season fires today across the southern plains, and what follows is relentless. 4 consecutive days of severe weather threats. A flooding corridor from Texas to the Ohio Valley with repeated rounds of heavy rain, record highs in the upper 80s and low 90s smashing early March norms by up to 27 degrees, and a brand new flood threat in the Northeast, where 5+ inches of liquid equivalent sitting in the snowpack across upstate New York, New Hampshire, and Vermont is about to start melting as temperatures surge. Severe weather, flooding rain, mountain snow, and record heat, all happening at once. Marginal risk severe weather. The Storm Prediction Center has a marginal risk, 1 out of 5 on the scale, across Kansas, western Oklahoma, and into northwest Texas, including parts of the Texas Panhandle. Winds and hail are the main threats, but an isolated brief tornado cannot be ruled out. This is a low-end day. Do not underestimate it, though. This is the appetizer before the main course. Storms will fire this afternoon across the plains. Meanwhile, repeated rounds of showers and thunderstorms are already training over the same areas in the Ohio Valley. That is creating our flash flooding threat. The Weather Prediction Center has a marginal risk for excessive rainfall across the Ohio Valley today into Wednesday. Downstate Illinois, southern Indiana, southern Ohio, northern Kentucky, and into West Virginia. A narrow but potent swath of 3 inches or more is possible. If you live near a creek, stream, or tributary river, monitor water levels closely through midweek because they could rise in a hurry. By the way, if you'd like specific weather forecasts for your region or city, please leave them in the comments. I'll answer them individually as time allows. Also, if you like the video and subscribe to my channel, you'd be very grateful. Now, let's move on. Wednesday, March 4th. Slight risk escalation. Tomorrow, the risk jumps to a slight risk, 2 out of 5, from Dallas-Fort Worth through McAlester, Oklahoma, up through Fayetteville and Fort Smith, Arkansas. A broader marginal risk extends across the Ohio Valley back into the southern plains. The tornado threat is highest through the southern plains, North Texas through southeast Oklahoma and western Arkansas. That is where the slight risk is centered, and that is where the atmospheric ingredients come together most favorably for rotation. Damaging winds and large hail round out the hazard profile. Storms will be heavy rain producers too, compounding the flooding threat that is already underway in the Ohio Valley. Thursday, March 5th. Slight risk, West Texas. Another slight risk takes shape from West Texas and Northwest Texas into western Oklahoma. The parent jet stream is still further west on Thursday, but there is just enough low and mid-level jet energy to organize thunderstorms by afternoon. Damaging winds and large hail are the primary threats, with an isolated tornado possible. Thursday morning also brings storms rumbling across the mid-Mississippi Valley. This system does not take a day off. It just shifts geography slightly. Friday, March 6th, the big day. Friday is the most concerning severe weather day of the week. The risk area becomes much more elongated and widespread, stretching from the Dallas-Fort Worth area all the way to just south of Des Moines, Iowa. That is a massive swath of the heartland under a slight risk. The mechanism is a deepening low-pressure system off the front range of the Colorado Rockies that pushes northeast toward the upper Midwest. It is slow-moving. That slowness is why we see repeated rounds. By Friday, 50 to 60 degree dew points have surged from the Gulf all the way into Iowa, Missouri, and Illinois. The main parent jet ejects across the plains, bringing much better mid-level dynamics and kinematics. The peak window is 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., 6 hours of potential robust storms. Damaging winds, large hail, and tornadoes are all on the table. The WPC has also flagged heavy rain potential from March 6 through 8, extending from southeastern Texas to southern Missouri. Combined with the midweek Ohio Valley rainfall, this is a compounding flood situation. Saturday, March 7th. Sagging cold front. Saturday, the cold front begins to sag south. The severe risk shifts toward Dallas-Fort Worth and Texarkana. This is a slow-moving line of storms that will be making its way toward the Houston Metro, Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and Jackson, Mississippi through the day. The jet support is weaker by Saturday. This is more of a moisture-driven convective line, but the storms will be capable of damaging winds and will dump additional heavy rainfall on already saturated ground. The flooding crisis. When you put all these rounds together, the rainfall totals through March 9 are sobering. 2 to 3 inches or more across a massive corridor from the southern plains through the Mississippi Basin and into the Ohio Valley. Some areas could see significantly more, with storms repeatedly training over the same geography. But the Climate Prediction Center is now flagging an even bigger story for Week 2, a moderate risk of heavy precipitation for the central and southern plains, lower Great Lakes, and the Mississippi, Tennessee, and Ohio valleys around March 10th through 11. Their language is stark. This quantity of water is not easily accommodated by river systems. River, stream, and urban flash flooding are all possible. This flooding corridor is going to be the defining weather story of early March. The Northeast snowmelt threat. Here is a storyline not enough people are talking about. The CPC has issued flooding possible guidance for the Northeast, and the driver is not rainfall, it is snowmelt. Upstate New York and the mountains of New Hampshire and Vermont still have over 5 inches of liquid equivalent in accumulated snowpack from the historic winter. Temperatures are about to surge well above average this week and into Week 2. Much of that snowpack is favored to melt away, potentially overwhelming water systems. This is a secondary flood threat that will develop gradually but could become significant by mid-March as the warm-up accelerates. Winter is not done. The Cascades in Washington and Oregon, along with the Rockies, Idaho, western Montana, Wyoming, Utah, and Nevada, could see feet of snow through next Monday. The Sierra is quieter. Winter weather advisories remain in effect from Indiana to Pennsylvania, with ice accretion the main hazard across Appalachian higher terrain. Virginia and West Virginia mountains could see up to 1/3 of an inch. Last night, 1 to 4 inches of snow fell across the Northeast, with the heaviest from New Hampshire into down east Maine. Icy roads affected Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Connecticut, southern New York, and central Pennsylvania. Record heat building. Today, the southern plains see upper 80s and low 90s, record highs for early March. Wednesday brings more records. Thursday, the drought-stricken southeast heats up fast. Friday could bring widespread 80s and 90s from Kentucky to Florida, Louisiana through the Carolinas. The weekend brings more record heat. The first notable widespread cold front does not move across the eastern United States until around mid-March. These temperatures are up to 27 degrees above early March averages. City-by-city predictions. Northeast. New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, D.C., Hartford, Providence, Portland, M.E., Buffalo. Light snow overnight is clearing this morning. 1 to 4 inches fell, with the heaviest in NH and down east Maine. Icy roads remain a concern in MA, RI, CT, southern NY, central PA. The cold breaks today with a major warm-up through the weekend. By Friday, temperatures push well above average. The real story developing here is snowmelt. 5 inches of liquid equivalent in the Adirondacks, Green Mountains, and White Mountains. Watch for rising rivers and streams by mid-March as the warm-up accelerates. Southeast. Atlanta, Charlotte, Nashville, Raleigh, Birmingham, Jacksonville, New Orleans. Drought continues to tighten its grip, and the models are picking up on it. Dry ground heats up fast. Thursday through the weekend brings widespread 80s and 90s with record highs likely across the region. Nashville gets dragged into the heavy rain corridor by midweek, but the core southeast remains dry. Saturday's sagging cold front brings storms toward New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Jackson. Moisture may finally start shifting east toward Georgia by mid-March, but drought feeds off drought. Breaking this pattern will take time. Midwest and Great Lakes. Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, Milwaukee, Cleveland, Indianapolis, Columbus, St. Louis, Cincinnati, Louisville. You are in the crosshairs for both flooding and severe weather. Flash flooding threat today through Wednesday. Downstate IL, southern IN, southern OH, northern KY see 3+ inches in a narrow corridor. St. Louis and Indianapolis remain in the heaviest rainfall zone through March 9th. Friday's severe risk extends to just south of Des Moines. Iowa and northern Illinois are in play. Week 2 brings a moderate risk of heavy precipitation around March 10th to 11 for the lower Great Lakes. The CPC warns that river systems may not handle this volume of water. Cleveland, Columbus, and Cincinnati. Monitor river gauges. West Coast and Mountain. West, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, Sacramento, San Diego, Phoenix, Salt Lake City, Boise, Flagstaff, Denver, Albuquerque. Cascades see heavy mountain snow. Chains required on passes in WA and OR. Rockies load up through Monday. ID, Western MT, WI, UT, NVC feet of snow. Sierra is quieter this round. Record warmth continues in the desert southwest. High winds across the Great Basin and Rockies persist through mid-March, with the CPC flagging a slight risk of high winds through March 16th. Denver sees the typical March volatility, warm days and mountain snow nearby. Plains and South Central, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, Oklahoma City, Omaha, Denver, San Antonio, Little Rock, Memphis. Ground zero all week. Today, marginal risk KS, Western OK, TX Panhandle. Wednesday, slight risk DFW through Fort Smith. Thursday, slight risk West, TX and Western OK. Friday, the big day, DFW to just south of Des Moines. Saturday, storms sag toward Houston, Lake Charles, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Jackson. Record highs today and tomorrow, upper 80s, low 90s. Heavy rain March 6 through 8 from SE, Texas to southern Missouri. Kansas City sees moisture surge north by Friday, with 50 to 60-degree dew points from the Gulf. Little Rock and Memphis remain in the heaviest rainfall corridor. This is a dangerous and relentless week for the Heartland. The bottom line. This week marks the true beginning of severe weather season across the central United States. 4 consecutive days of severe weather. A flooding corridor that intensifies through mid-March. Record heat fueling instability. And a snowmelt flood threat developing in the Northeast that could catch people off guard. Stay weather aware and have multiple ways to receive warnings. This pattern is not slowing down.